Today we're going to be looking at the next-gen stats from Week 11 to see the buy, sell, holds, and trades for fantasy football. We're looking at the wide receivers. We're looking at their route tree, their route chart from NFL.com, seeing what they're doing on the field. We're talking ball from what we saw yesterday, although it's from the red zone because you got to drink a lot of caffeine and keep up with these games as they're playing. We still saw a little something, and we're catching a little bit more on the back end on the All-22. Before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're going to go hot and heavy on the waiver wire. We're going to discuss some trades for you guys later this week. We're going to look at Dynasty. We're going to help you set your lineups with the must-start videos. It's all going to be right here, and it's all completely free. Click that button. Stop missing out. But we're looking at Josh Downs here. And it was scary that Anthony Richardson was brought back up going into this. Everybody was. But a lot of people, or some people also, got rid of Josh Downs due to that, which was not a smart idea. I saw that around. I was not partaking in those activities. However, Josh Downs did well the week prior and has done well off and on with Anthony Richardson. And he came back looking sharp. 5 targets, 5 balls caught, 84 yards and a touchdown. Josh Downs is the man in this offense. The question is Michael Pittman, if we're ever going to get back the Michael Pittman production, or is that ghosted now? And now it's just Josh Downs saying, it's my ship now. It's my ship now because he's getting the workload. And the thing is with Anthony Richardson, he's got some talent here at wide receiver. From Michael Pittman to Josh Downs, Alec Pierce is stepping it up, a good deep threat plus a little more. A.D. Mitchell has been doing good, has been doing very good. Advanced Metrics is saying it. We're looking at him on tape. He's doing a lot of good things. This is a deep wide receiver depth chart that has some good assets to it. And Josh Downs is stepping up. He's looking consistent. We saw this back in college. This guy's got good ball skills despite him being 5'9". He times the ball good. He can get downfield a little bit. You're going to have him closer to the line of scrimmage. You're going to move him around some. He's a good route runner. He can create separation. He's good at that. 90% of the wide receivers right now in the NFL are good route runners. About a decade or so ago, we could question that a little bit more. But what I'm really saying is that he's very consistent separating, and he's very dependable. Josh Downs is good at that, and we know this. Look at the productivity. If you did not watch a game and just spot highlights or a little bit here and there, just red zone, just look at the numbers here. That's a good indicator. And then look at the route tree. It's all over the place. They're moving them around. Josh Downs has that dog. Josh Downs is probably going to be a mid-round pick next year in drafts. Josh Downs is good to go, and he might be a little bit cheaper, as some people are still wondering about Anthony Richardson over a longer sample. You might be able to catch him on the cheap. I'm not really going to be too liquid with him, though. George Pickens is the man here. We're getting deep targets. We're getting everything. It's week in and week out. I mean, week 4 on, 11 targets, 7 targets, 8 targets, 9 targets, 5 targets, 7 targets, 12 targets. That's top-tier workload, so you're going to get good results. And it may be spotty here and there because the Steelers can get in some weird game scripts because they're the Steelers, and they'll yuck out a win, but they'll get that win. However, he's going to get that workload. He's going to run a lot of routes. He's going to be the man in this offense. He's the guy you want in this offense. He is the all-star in this offense. 8 catches, 89 yards. Getting it done. Gritty at the catch point. Look at where the targets are flowing. Deep downfield. We got 3 deep shots on there for sure. And we're moving all over the place. Inside, outside, downfield. Around the line of scrimmage. That's a good look for George Pickens, especially for down the stretch. Puka Nacua is all over the place. He's all over the place. He's the man in the offense. You should have made a trade for him when he was out. You should have gave up something that's kind of significant that wouldn't hurt you too much to try to get Puka Nacua. Your second running back, your third running back, plus another wide receiver. You probably should have did that. Because now we're back. We're getting targeted like crazy. We're all over the place. The fact that he was on the IR spot might have made it hard. But you always kick the tires and see if you get your hand slapped. And sometimes you can get things to go through, especially in basic leagues, home leagues, work leagues, depending on who's watching this video. Even when leagues are highly competitive, because sometimes transactions will go very rampant. And then sometimes they stalemate. I've been all over the place. I've been all over this world playing fantasy football. I know. I've seen it all. And I play at college and everything. Puka Nacua, though. Getting targets, getting work all over the field. Stud coming back. No questions about that. We knew that. But look at the routes here. That's a beautiful, beautiful route chart all over the field. Downfield. Out to the side. In. Out. Around the line of scrimmage a little bit. But a lot of targets downfield. That's good for an average depth of target. And the volume there with 9 targets. And most of his targets are past 10 yards. And we're getting deep shots as well. That's a beautiful route chart. That's what you expect from a stud wide receiver. Odunze is flashing. And it took some time for him to ramp up because Caleb Williams has been up and down. The Bears totally have been up and down. He's a rookie. He's a first-round pick with a lot of upside. He was great at Washington, Pac-12 After Dark. He was lighting it up. We're starting to cook a little bit. It's going to be up and down. It's just how it is. It's nature of things when you got 2 rookies building chemistry with each other. You got 2 other good wide receivers in the offense. That's just how it is. But little indicators here is we're getting moved around the offense. Some of these targets are pretty deep. We're trying to get him targets around the line of scrimmage. We're trying to get this guy volume. And the fact that he's getting some targets around the line of scrimmage means that they recognize the size of just athleticism. And they know he can get it after the catch. They're trying to get that done. But also the routes here. Over the middle. We're breaking things off. We're getting downfield. We got a good volume of targets here. 65 yards. Can't wait to get the 8-eye. I have it if I can dig it, but I'm waiting for it to come in certain spreadsheets. But Odunze looking good here, especially with the volume and workload. Since week 8, look at this. 6 targets, 7 targets, 6 targets, 10 targets. The volume's up. If you're looking for a cheap penny stock, and when I say penny stock, there's downside because it's cheap, but a penny stock to get on trade, this might be it because you're getting more than 5 targets a game since week 8. That's solid. You got some matchups here where things could go off. And you got Minnesota coming up. They're using him in the offense. They're moving him around. Caleb Williams looked good last week or yesterday in week 11. That being said, that could be something you may want to buy into. Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson. The targets are concentrated to them. Expect them to get a lot of workload. And he's getting opportunity all over the place around the line of scrimmage and downfield. They're just trying to get the ball in his hands. They're trying to get the offense ignited with them. Davante Adams is always going to have the upside. He's a crafty veteran. He's very good. And he's a guy that can transcend this offense. And his quarterback loves him. And he's going to get those targets. I got a lot of start-sit questions with him. And it was with some other volatile wide receivers or wide receivers coming back from injuries. I guess when you look at it for one, some of those the other guys should just start. However, when you look at things in a vacuum pre-game here, you're looking at a wide receiver here has been seeing 9, 6, 11, 13, 7 targets. It's just a safer option. You get 7 targets in a game, 6 for 72 yards. You can't hate on that. That didn't bust on you. He did all right. And the thing is, Davante Adams is always going to get that workload. We're going to come back from a bye. That's huge for a veteran wide receiver like this. And we got some decent game scripts coming up. Seattle, Miami, and the Jaguars. Very interesting matchups here for Davante Adams in the future. That's something to look into. I wouldn't be scared of him. I just know the volume's just going to be there. I know the game scripts could be weird for the Jets, but at least the targets will be there. Jeudy went off in this matchup. A lot of people want to look at him off waivers. He should have been rostered anyways because he's just been getting soaked up in targets. Don't chase fantasy points. Chase the workload, the routes, the targets, the air yards. Those 3 numbers. Fantasy points with some of these players will just come and go. With the workload, if it remains the same, the odds of hitting those fantasy points will be there because you're not going to score fantasy points if you're not being targeted because you're not going to get a catch if the target's not there. You're not going to get a target if you're not running a route. And you're likely to get big-time points if you're getting those deep shots downfield and you can bring them in. So you look at that. Look at the targets, routes ran, and average depth of target or total air yards at the wide receivers, especially over the fantasy points. That will lead you to some better prospects. Then look at the schedule going forward with these players. Jeudy's got a nasty schedule. We got Denver and we got the Steelers twice. You may not want to pick them up due to that. you're going to have a hard time starting him. You may want to sell him on the high if you can potentially do that. You may want to do that. Not everybody looks at the schedule. Not everybody is going to think things through. Just time to look at the targets here with Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston loves him because he does, but Jameis Winston also doesn't care and will push the ball downfield. Cedric Tillman had a good game when it comes to targets and opportunities and air yards. Okay, and like yardage for a wide receiver, but not really great for fantasy football. Just how the game's played. It's just with these Browns wide receivers, you know it's going to get funneled downfield. Nick Westbrook does nothing but score touchdowns. Look at this. Like, in his last 6 games, he scored a touchdown in 5 of them. That is something to note. Touchdowns are very volatile. That's not a sticky stat. But if you want to gamble, I mean, you just throw them in there and you just pray to the fantasy gods. That's about all you can do. But we're getting deep shots downfield. We're getting targets. The targets are okay for the Titans. Looking at since week 6 when these touchdowns are happening. 2, 4, 4, 6, 3, 6. So that lets me know the volume here is up and down. We're getting red zone looks because we got that length. 6'2", 211 pounds. We're getting some deep shots downfield. We just got to connect. He's consistent due to the touchdowns. Outside of that, yardage-wise, it's up and down. So he's actually a scary get off the waiver wire. More of a gamble play. MVS. Gamble play. Deep shot play. I'm starting him if I'm really hurting and I just want to throw him in there and close my eyes. That's what I'm doing. And I'm not starting him if I'm set. A lot of my teams I'm set at wide receiver because I drafted wide receiver, and then in those middle rounds, Aaron Jones, Alvin Kamara, maybe a little bit earlier with a Joe Mixon, maybe something like that, but I hammered wide receiver pretty early. A lot of Malik Neighbors, a lot of Jamar Chase, and a lot of wide receivers. But on top of that, I got some teams that got hurt. Marquise Hollywood-Brown, Rashee Rice drafting in the spring, January, February, March. We get it early. That being said, there's some teams that have him, but he's a player that when I look at the workload here, what I'm seeing here on the chart, you're seeing those deep shots and you love it. You see him get yards after the catch. He's got good size of just athleticism, top tier with that. And you're looking at an offense that gets vertical. You just throw him in your lineups and you just close your eyes. Lad McConkey is getting sprayed and prayed, and it's up and down. The Chargers offense will reflect to the game script. The Chargers offense wants to be slow too at times. They also have Quentin Johnston there who's getting it done. And Justin Herbert will just get it to where it needs to be got instead of just pushing it to somebody. Lad McConkey is a good rookie wide receiver with a lot of upside, 4.3 speed, creates separation, one of the better route runners in the 2024 NFL draft class. He's been up and down, but for a rookie season, he's flashed enough for me to consider him good and good to go for 2025. The routes are all over the place. We're getting deep shots, short shots, and that's what you want to see too. You want to see a mix as well. You don't want to see everything shot downfield because that is an indicator of a volatile play. I think a lot of people who watch fantasy football content don't know what volatile means, so you may want to get the dictionary out or use Google if you know how to do that. But we also got short targets as well. T. Higgins is an interesting start because mostly you're starting him in most leagues due to attrition at the wide receiver position and having 4 bye weeks. However, there were a lot of people who are good at wide receiver. If you're blessed at wide receiver, you're probably sitting him because you're just blessed and you had other options that were good for the week, and that is what it is. He was also an upside dandy because of this, the air yards and deep downfield. It really depended on your situation. If you're blessed, you're probably sitting him. And I saw lineup questions where you were just blessed, and I was like, you're just good with whatever you got. Here you go. This is what you'll do with this. Or if you want to do this, do this. That's really how I answer it. It's never 1 for 1, and you just choose what you want from how you feel from your matchup. T. Higgins getting it downfield, getting the volume, and I'm not surprised with the amount of targets too with the game script like this. Vegas had a deep over-under. Vegas said this is going to be a high-scoring game, and we hit the over here. And T. Higgins coming back from an injury, got it downfield. He's good for the air yards. He's good for splash performances. Prior to the injury, he was hitting 18.2, 14.7, getting some volume, getting some targets. His targets are usually downfield. He usually gets deep shots. He can be volatile at times due to getting deep shots. That being said, T. Higgins, good wide receiver to have on your fantasy team. Those are the wide receivers we're looking at from Week 11 from the Next Gen Stats. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.